Welcome to Family Law Talk, presented by Kirk Stange of Stange Law Firm, PC. Stange Law Firm is a family law firm in the St. Louis metro area, with offices in Missouri and Illinois. Now, here's your host, Kirk Stange.
Welcome to Family Law Talk. My name is Kirk Stange, and I am one of the managing partners of Stange Law Firm, which is a family law firm with multiple offices in Missouri and Illinois, all in the St. Louis metro area. Well, welcome again to Family Law Talk today. Today's topic is an interesting one. The title is Why a Divorce Attorney Can't Predict a Result on the Phone. It's an interesting topic. We'll get to that here in just a second, but I'll state, as I always do, that the choice of a lawyer is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertisements, that the information you obtain today in this episode is general in nature and it may not apply to specific factual or legal circumstance. Therefore, if you need legal advice, you should definitely consult and hire an attorney who's licensed and competent to practice law in your specific jurisdiction. All right, so on to the topic itself. Again, the topic is why a divorce attorney can't predict a result on the phone, and this is based on an article on our webpage, StangeLawFirm.com. The title of that article is Why Can't an Attorney Tell Me What's Going to Happen with My Case on the Phone? And so as a follow-up to the episode today, go to StangeLawFirm.com, click the Articles tab, and then scroll down and find the article titled, Why Can't an Attorney Tell Me What's Going to Happen with My Case on the Phone? It's a really interesting topic because, you know, in our law firm, and I'd imagine other law firms, this is an everyday occurrence. In other words, somebody's in the midst of crisis, a divorce or family law case has begun, maybe they didn't want that case to happen in the first place. They're hoping that it wouldn't come to fruition, that it could be avoided, or maybe it was just a complete shock and right out of left field, and they just didn't see it coming at all. But obviously when a case like this begins, you know, parties in crisis mode, and they're thinking, oh my goodness, what's going to happen with the rest of my life? You know, what's going to happen with regard to my kids? How often will I get to see them? How's child support going to work? You know, how's property and debt going to be divided? And oh my goodness, we've got spousal support out there, attorney fees, and how all this stuff is going to work is just a tremendous question most folks have going through a family law case. And so what a lot of people do is, you know, they pick up the yellow pages or they get on their computer and they start looking for law firms, and they just start calling firms, you know, calling attorneys, and they're looking for somebody who can help give them an answer. And, you know, what a lot of folks want to do is pick up that phone call, you know, get somebody on the phone and rather quickly get answers to their questions. In other words, they're looking for definitiveness on, you know, how's custody going to work? You know, how's child support going to work? You know, how are my assets and debts going to be divided, for example, as well as other issues. They want clarity on it. And what a lot of folks think is that, you know, really family law cases are cookie cutter and that any attorney in short order is going to be able to answer these questions and tell a potential client what's going to happen. And I think to a lot of folks out there, they think that's pretty simple and they think it's pretty easy. And what a lot of folks will do on a lot of levels is hire the attorney who appears to give them the clearest picture of what's going to happen quickly. And I could understand why a client would want this on a lot of levels. You know, in times of turmoil, you want, in essence, a crystal ball. In other words, you want the future predicted. A lot of people, I think, feel like if they just knew what was going to happen, they could swallow it better. They could deal with it better. It's just that uncertainty that drives a lot of people, candidly, you know, into an emotional state where the emotions are going up and down, and they're just not sure, you know, how things are going to be and how the rest of their life is going to work. The problem in the family law sphere is that this is really not a possible thing. I don't think really, in many cases, if any at all, an attorney really, after a few-minute phone call, is going to have nearly enough information in order to start predicting outcomes for clients. In other words, pulling out a crystal ball and seeing into the future. I mean, it'd be nice if it could happen. It'd be nice for the potential clients. Obviously, for the attorney as well, it'd be kind of nice in a lot of respects as well, because it kind of takes the pressure off the attorney. In other words, you know, if the result is going to be what it'll be, and the judge is just going to do this kind of cookie-cutter division of property and debt or child custody, you name it, it would take the pressure off the attorney as well, right? Because it doesn't really matter how well of a job the attorney does. If the judge is going to do what the judge is going to do, you know, it's all really for naught. And so in some ways, I think this, if this were true, would kind of encourage attorneys to be lackadaisical and not work real hard, not be real diligent. You know, the truth of the matter is there's just a lot of variance in terms of what judges can do. The example I talk about in the article, which I love, because I think it's totally applicable, and I think most people, when they hear the analogy, they get it and they agree with. They would agree with me when they take some time to think about it. In other words, if you pick up the phone and you call the doctor's office when you're sick, and you start just naming symptoms, and you just say, "Doc," the example I use is this, which is, "Doc, I have a sore throat, a fever, I don't feel right. Do you think I have cancer?" Obviously, I think to the folks out there, everybody knows no doctor is going to answer that question on the phone. No nurse is going to answer that question on the phone. They're not going to tell an individual that they haven't met, that they haven't run tests on, that they haven't gotten a history on in terms of, maybe other health conditions that person has or other health conditions family members have. And they're just not going to do that over the phone. There's not enough information. There's no way they're going to tell somebody just over the phone that they have cancer. And you could take really any other illness as well. Obviously, if you hurt your leg and you call the doctor's office and you start naming symptoms, obviously a doctor might suspect, whether it's a sprain, whether it's a fracture, you name it. But at the end of the day, I think any doctor's office is going to say, you got to come in, we're going to have to do an x-ray. After the x-ray, I can tell you for sure, whether that leg is broken or not. But really, until then, we're just kind of guessing. We're just kind of speculating. We're hoping, that we have enough information. But no doc is just going to say, "No, don't worry about it. Don't get it checked out. You're good to go. It's not broken. Just wrap it and deal with it. You'll be fine." I mean, nobody's going to do that. They're going to want to bring you into the office. They're going to want to check you out. And I think it's the exact same thing for attorneys. And I think that's the thing that potential family law clients out there have to understand. It's true that on some level an attorney might have a hunch based on a fact pattern. I mean, they might have some clues in terms of what they think might happen, but there's no way they really know for sure. And no attorney can really appropriately be diagnosing you on the phone or predicting an outcome on the phone in terms of what's going to happen. And let me just state this as well. I think this is the other part of family law that makes it really interesting and makes it really unique. And I think to the potential clients out there, it's a thing you have to be aware of as well, because this is what leads to lack of certainty in cases, which is, different judges hear these cases. And in some counties or some jurisdictions, judges are elected. Some counties, some jurisdiction judges are appointed. But judges come in from all kinds of philosophical viewpoints. They have different views on the world, the society. In other words, they look at the world through their own set of lenses. And, take the Supreme Court, for example. I mean, you've got liberal justices, you've got conservative justices, you have justices in the middle. I'm not sure that liberal, conservative, in the middle matters as much in terms of family law, but it's still there, and it still, just shows that judges have a ton of discretion in terms of what they do. So take child custody, for example, which is based on the best interest of the child. Could two judges looking through totally different lenses in life with different backgrounds, different outlooks, different viewpoints on what's best for kids, could they come to a different outcome in a custody case? Well, absolutely. Take spousal support, for example, which is based primarily on the reasonable needs of the party who's seeking the spousal support. Past that, the court looks at the other party who's not seeking spousal support in terms of their ability to assist the other spouse, and they look at various factors. But, I mean, at the end of the day, with a standard such as reasonable needs, could two judges come to a different viewpoint on what a reasonable need is and then have a totally different outlook in terms of what could take place in terms of child support or spousal support? You bet. And then, property and debt divisions in a state like Missouri and Illinois, it's equitable division, so it's a just division of marital property and debt. It doesn't say 50-50 anywhere in the statute. Contrary to the belief of many people, it says just when considering all the factors. So could two judges come to totally different viewpoints in terms of what a just division of property and debt might be in a case? You bet, absolutely. And that's the thing out there for the folks, apart from the fact that an attorney really doesn't have enough information just over the phone until they meet you in person and they look at tax returns, they look at property and debt statements, they look at the evidence that you have, they hear the whole story, they get potentially the other side's story, or at least their viewpoint in terms of what might take place. It's really impossible for an attorney to make a prediction in terms of the outcome. But then past that, again, different judges can do different things, and different judges have different outlooks, in different viewpoints. And so obviously I would think this is probably true, which is an attorney who's able to give a more certain outcome on the phone might do better on the front end in terms of getting new cases and new clients. But on the back end, those predictions don't come true. The attorney turns out to be wrong because at the end of the day, they're kind of guessing over the phone what they think might happen. Ultimately, that's not going to lead to a happy client and a happy situation. So the potential clients out there, what you really, I think, need at the end of the day is to do this, which is obviously, you want to pick up that phone, you want to have that instant answer, but you all have to realize the most important thing is getting in with an attorney, sitting down, meeting them in person. Maybe you can do it, through Skype, if it's a long-distance type relationship. There's various other internet web pages out there as well where you can do a consultation wirelessly through your computer, through video conferencing, for example. But either way, you need to make an appointment with an attorney, have a conflict check run, and then you need to go through your whole factual scenario before you can really expect an attorney to have really any kind of idea in terms of what will happen. And then even past that, you have to realize as well, even after an initial consult with that attorney still isn't going to be in a position of knowing for sure what's going to happen. They might have some general viewpoints, but at the end of the day, if you don't even know what judge is going to be assigned your case, for example, it's pretty tough for an attorney to be making predictions and outcomes in terms of what might happen. So that is the article itself. I hope you all found it interesting. Again, you can go to StangeLawFirm.com, click the Articles tab, and then find the article titled, Why Can't an Attorney Tell Me What's Going to Happen with My Case on the Phone? I think it's an interesting article, definitely one that you all ought to check out if you listen to this podcast episode today. So thanks for tuning in to Family Law Talk with Stange Law Firm. We'll see you next time on our next episode. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Family Law Talk with Kirk Stange. Visit StangeLawFirm.com for more about today's topic, or to put Stange Law Firm to work for your family today.